G'day everyone, I am super excited because I've got a new fishing rod and I just can't wait to tell you all about it. Hey you! You're watching Robbie Fishing. Rightio folks, before I show you my new fishing rod, I'm just going to make a couple of changes. I'm going to put my hat on backwards so that the visor doesn't shade my face, and I'm going to pull my mask off. I'm going to exercise my right and my exemption as an asthmatic to not wear a mask, and I'll tell you why. I've been wearing it everywhere in the community. I wore it getting shopping yesterday, I wore it to work yesterday morning, I wore it walking around the street, had to go to the bank and do a few things, and I wore it the whole time. But it is a real struggle for an asthmatic. Now, all asthmatics are different. Before you say, well, I've got asthma, I can wear one. That's all right. We're all different. If we were all the same, we'd all have the same treatment and we'd either all die or we'd all survive. And I've come that close to dying from asthma. We are all different and I really do genuinely struggle with this on. But I am wearing it in the community as best as I can. But out here where there's absolutely no one and the risk is pretty much non-existent because there's no one for miles, I am exercising my right as an exempt person from wearing a mask while I'm talking. Right. I've got a new fishing rod, here it is, ta-da! It's a brand new 50-year-old fishing rod. I kid you not, I've got my hands on an original glass-eyed, cork-gripped Black Queen. I'll step back a little bit so you can see a bit more of it. It is so awesome. I'll see if I can hold it up here. If you look here, you'll see it's got the original cork grip, the original metal reel seats. You go along here, you can sort of make out the old green embossment there where it would have said Black Queen years ago, or Jarvis Walker. I don't know whether I'll be able to focus on that or not, but it's got a see the fiberglass insert on the runner, on the eye. It's got fiberglass eyes. This is an absolute gem. Now, it is about as floppy as a dick in a gumboot. It flops all over the place. It's a little bit tight to put it together. I might be able to just put a little bit of KY jelly or something on that and loosen it up. Look at that. This is going to be my new carp fishing, bait fishing rod, and I'm going to tell you about it. This is my dad's old Black Queen. I always thought the rod that I was using, my old Black Queen, was my dad's, but we're thinking that might have been my uncle's now, and for years I've just thought it was dad's until Dad found his in the shed the other day. So I've now got two Black Queens. This one's in much better condition than the one I've been using. And Dad reckons he's probably got this around about early 1970s, late 60s, early 70s. He's taken it up to Eildon back in the day, up to Lake Yukonbean back in the day, fishing for trout with a bubble float. He's caught big trout on this, up to 6 or 7 pound at Lake Yukonbean under a bubble float, back when this was a state-of-the-art rod. It's amazing how these old rods, they might not perform as well as the new, more advanced rods these days, but it's amazing how they've survived the test of time. That is so awesome. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story about this Black Queen. I went to my dad's, I went to adventure camping and fishing yesterday to buy a new fishing rod, and I bumped into my dad. He says, what are you doing here? I said, I'm looking for a new rod. I broke a rod while I was trout fishing last week, and I want a really cheap, flexible fiberglass tip rod that I can enjoy the fight. It'll really load up and give me a lot of fun. He says, I've got an old Black Queen at home. I said, no you haven't, I've been using it for the last 20 years. He says, no, mine's in the shed. That's what made me think perhaps I've got my late uncles. Anyway, we went round to Dad's place, and he... Sorry, I'm just going to tone that, it's a bit bright. I went around to my dad's place and he's got, in his shed, he's got like a rack on the wall and he's got all these rods on a rack, like an old gun rack, and he's got all these rods hanging up. And he grabs the Black Queen down, he passes it to me, and wow, this is so awesome. And I've had a look and I'm trying to put the top bit in, but the top part of the rod had a different texture. It had like a spirally pattern on it, the same as my old Traverse X bait caster rod. And I thought, it's not the top half of the Traverse X, is it? And I'm trying to put it in and it wouldn't fit. And then I had a look and I realised it had no runners on it either. It had no eyes. Then I realised he'd given me his CB aerial. I was standing there trying to put the CB aerial into the top of the rod. I said, Dad, you've given me the bloody CB aerial. He goes, oh, have I? He says, oh, you've got a new rod and I've got a new CB aerial that I never knew I had. But anyway, folks, that is my new rod. That is the Black Queen. I'll I want to try and show you just how whippy this is. It's a bit sort of awkward. You probably can't even see it when I do that. It's about as stiff and firm as a piece of rope. A really quick rule of thumb with fishing rods: the stiffer they are, the more accurate they cast. That's why we've got these compound graphite rods and stuff, like my Venom and whatnot, and the wild bait rods. And people often comment on my casting. The stiffer the rod is, the easier, the better they cast. The softer and more flimsy a rod is like this, the harder they are to cast, but the longer they live. We tend not to break these in accidents, whereas graphite rods, we seem to break them quite regularly because they're not as strong. They're as strong when you hold them when you're fighting a fish, provided you're not high sticking it like I tend to do a lot of. They're as strong when you're fighting a fish, but they don't, if you hold it on the wrong angle and hold it too steep, they'll snap at the tip, whereas these guys generally bend over a lot more. So stiffer rods for accurate casting, soft whippy rods for longevity of your rod. And this is so soft that I reckon I probably couldn't even land my sinker in that little dam behind me from here. Let's see if I really can hit the dam. First cast. Oh, look at that. I've already mastered it. First cast. Righto, folks. Stay tuned because you're going to see me reeling in fish with the new Black Queen. Before I go, just a quick word about the masky asthma thing. I want to tell you just something real quickly. People sometimes tell me that I talk too fast in my videos. Growing up, I used to talk so fast that nobody could understand me. And one of the great things about YouTube is that it's forced me to slow down my talking so that I can be clearer, so that I can have better quality YouTube videos. Being a YouTuber has actually consciously taught me to slow my talking down. I used to talk really, really fast. As a kid, my schoolmates used to call me Triff, which meant tape recorder in fast forward. And Maxie or Wooly, if you happen to be watching, love you guys. These days they call that bullying, but back then I just played along. I thought it was quite funny. But anyway, I was known for talking way too fast, and I still do get pulled up for it from time to time. But you know why I talk too fast? As a kid, my asthma was so bad that I almost died a couple of times, numerous times. I spent a lot of time in hospital. I'm not just any old asthmatic. I am a chronic asthmatic. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I still struggle if I can't have fresh air. I can't sit in my car with the air on recycled or with the windows up. I've got to have that fresh air. But anyway, my asthma was so bad as a kid that I had to talk really fast to get the words in, because when I breathe in like I am now, I wasn't getting enough oxygen. These days I do, but as a teenager I didn't. So I'd have to breathe in more often than not, more often than out, pretty much. Not that that's possible, but I had to breathe in fast. So I talk really fast like this so that I could get the sentence out, so that I could get another breath in before I had to cut my sentence off. Otherwise every sentence got cut in half so that I could stop and get a breath in. That's what I was like as a teenager, and that's why I developed the pattern of talking way too fast, and why I still sometimes get pulled up for talking too fast. So huge thanks to YouTube for helping me work on my slowing down my speech, which I was very well known as not being very good at because I was too fast. Righto folks, thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned, you're going to see me catch fish on this Black Queen pretty soon I reckon, because I'm excited to be using it. I can't wait to use it, and with the lockdown, the stage 3 lockdown, here in regional Victoria, we're still allowed to fish as long as we go local. So I've got a number of spots that are really close to my house where I can go fishing for murray, cod and carp. I doubt that I'll be catching a trout anytime soon, but I'm going to be using this to try and catch a cod or a carp, and I'm going to have a whole lot of fun.